He is a 30-something customer service agent whose life dream is to be discovered as a brilliant screenwriter. Then there is Shahrukh, Mohammed's wife. She is the one giving him a hard time because she knows deep down that he has absolutely no talent. Her dream is for him to land a real job so they can have 2 or 3 kids and live a normal life. We also have Mr. Abu Raya, Shahrukh's father. He has zero respect for Mohammed, viewing him as a broke loser whose salary never lasts until the end of the month. Finally, there's Shauki, Mohammed's friend, who is the biggest anti-child advocate in the world, mostly because his own 3 kids have traumatized him. Our story begins with Mohammed standing outside his office branch. To look like a highly efficient employee, he has tucked his light blue shirt tightly into his trousers. He is on the phone with his friend Hema, who has done him a solid and passed along the number of a big-time producer named El Adli. Mohammed walks into the branch, bursting with excitement. He dials the number, hoping it's real and not a prank. When El Adli actually answers, Mohammed freezes. He starts stuttering and, out of pure reflex, slips into his customer service script. "Sir, I'm calling to inform you we've resolved the issue on your line because you are a VIP client." The producer is confused. He doesn't have a phone line issue. Mohammed quickly pivots, explaining he is a fellow artist with a script that will open the gates of wealth for both of them. He starts his pitch. It's a drama about a 20. No, let's make him 30 for the dramatic arc. A 30-year-old petroleum engineer who the line goes dead. The producer hangs up. Before Mohammed can process the rejection, a customer sitting in front of him asks if they sell mobile covers. Mohammed snaps, "Sir, we are customer service. There's a mobile shop down the street." The old man leaves, but not before giving him some unsolicited advice. To be honest, the movie sounds terrible. After his shift, Mohammed rushes to the nearest ATM. He knows that when he gets home, Shahrukh will be waiting at the door to go grocery shopping for the week. He needs cash. The screen flashes the bad news. Salary not yet deposited. He arrives home to find Shahrukh dressed and ready. Knowing the monthly routine, she assures him her salary has dropped. She grabs his hand and drags him out. At the supermarket, the class difference between them becomes painfully obvious. Mohammed is living in the real world of budget constraints, while Shahrukh is living in a high-end fantasy. She nitpicks everything, obsessing over the specific brand of cheese, while Mohammed sweats over the price tags. They reach the checkout. Mohammed is busy trying to sneak items off the conveyor belt to save money when he spots a small, unfamiliar box. He asks Shahrukh, "Is this ours, or did it get here by mistake?" The cashier, trying to be helpful, chimes in, "That's a pregnancy test, sir." Immediately, a fight breaks out. They had an agreement to wait a few years until Mohammed's art career took off. Mohammed realizes she went off birth control behind his back. Shahrukh argues that 3 years is enough waiting for a career that isn't happening. The argument gets so loud that other shoppers intervene to calm them down. Mohammed, humiliated, ends the public spectacle and tells her to pay so they can leave. Back home, Mohammed stands nervously outside the bathroom door. He is terrified. Shahrukh steps out, beaming with an exaggerated smile. She delivers the news. She is pregnant. Instead of hugging her or spinning her around, Mohammed stares at her and says, "I don't agree to this. Fix it. Send it back." They replay the supermarket fight, but with higher stakes. Shahrukh argues that money isn't an issue because she got a raise. This bruises Mohammed's fragile ego. He interprets it as her saying she doesn't need him. He escalates, calling her disrespectful. Shahrukh decides she's had enough. She packs her bags, calling her father to tell him she is separating from her husband because he insulted her. She storms out and hails a taxi. Mohammed sits on the sofa, trying to process the disaster. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. He opens it to find a stranger walking in without a word. The man walks past him, grabs the grocery bags from the dining table, and heads for the door. He explains he is the taxi driver, and the madame sent him up to retrieve the groceries she bought with her money. The next morning, Mohammed wakes up to a furious call from his boss. He overslept. He thanks God he is still wearing yesterday's clothes, grabs his wallet, and sprints out the door, hoping to salvage whatever is left of his paycheck before the deductions hit. On the metro ride to work, a little kid squeezes into the seat next to Mohammed. The kid thanks Uncle Mohammed and, completely unprompted, points to a man standing nearby. He starts rambling about his complex family tree, how that man is his real dad, but there is also a fake dad that his real mom lives with. Mohammed, already overwhelmed by his own drama, silences the kid. He doesn't have the mental capacity for this soap opera. Mohammed arrives at the branch to find a long queue and a chaotic scene. His manager is desperately trying to calm down an irate customer. When asked why he is late, Mohammed invents a ridiculous lie about the metro taking a different route. The manager, having none of it, orders him to deal with the angry customer because he's about to lose his temper. Mohammed asks the customer what the problem is. The man has been screaming for 10 minutes because 15 units, pennies, were deducted from his balance, even though he didn't touch his phone since yesterday. Mohammed stares at him, reaches into his pocket, pulls out a £1 coin, and slams it on the counter. "Here is the cost of your 15 units, Hajj. Are we good now?" The customer leaves, but the relief is short-lived. Shahrukh and her father, Abu Raya, walk in to resolve the marital dispute. The father-in-law has zero chill. He shouts for the whole bank to hear that Mohammed kicked his pregnant wife out in the middle of the night. The other customers look at Mohammed with disgust. Mohammed frantically clarifies to the crowd, "She is pregnant by me." Abu Raya launches into his favorite speech. how he never wanted Muhammad as a son-in-law and only agreed because Shahrukh begged. To add to the circus, Muhammad's sister, Sahar, bursts in, ululating and cheering loudly because she's going to be an aunt. Muhammad quickly apologizes to everyone and shuffles his family out before his manager can deduct 2 days' pay or fire him. After his shift, Muhammad heads to Shawky's house. Shawky is a veteran father of 3 and currently on leave because his son has chickenpox. Muhammad finds him looking like he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, trying to keep the infected kid away from the other 2, who are currently beating each other up. Muhammad pretends he is there to visit the sick kid, but he really wants reassurance. He tells Shawky about the pregnancy. He went to the wrong person. If Muhammad was 10% scared of having kids, Shawky cranks that fear up to 100%. Shawky tells him to forget about writing, forget about producer El Adley, and find a second job immediately because the expenses never end. His golden advice: stop at 1 kid. If you can make it half a kid, even better. Muhammad returns home, giving Shahrukh the silent treatment. She follows him to the balcony and apologizes. She explains her rush to get pregnant. Her mother died giving birth to her because she was older, and Shahrukh is terrified of the same fate. She wants a big family while she is young. Muhammad softens. He decides the fight isn't worth it. He tells her to get ready. They are going to the doctor to check the gender. At the clinic, Muhammad takes the first hit. The checkup fee is £500. Then comes the knockout. The doctor scans Shahrukh's belly and his face drops. He announces, "Subhanallah. This is a very rare phenomenon." Muhammad braces himself to punch the doctor if he says something vague. The doctor continues, "The madame is pregnant." We know that, Muhammad thinks. We said with quintuplets, 5 babies. Muhammad is paralyzed with shock. Shahrukh is terrified. Muhammad snaps out of it and lunges at the doctor, hoping this is a sick joke. The doctor tries to calm him down with platitudes like, "Every child comes with their own luck." Muhammad loses his mind, cursing the doctor as he drags Shahrukh out to find a second opinion. They go to a female doctor, hoping for a different count. No luck. She confirms it. 5 babies. Muhammad, desperate, asks if there is a return policy. He asks if they can reduce the number, maybe keep 2 and remove 3. The doctor refuses on ethical and religious grounds, stating that since the mother's health isn't at risk, the pregnancy must continue. The next day at work, Shawky paints the future in pitch black colors. He calculates the cost of diapers for 5 babies, realizing Muhammad's entire salary won't even cover the milk. He points out that Muhammad is basically starting a handball team in his living room. Shawky's advice is drastic. Get rid of this pregnancy immediately. He even jokes that getting rid of Shahrukh along with them might be a viable option. The problem is the religious aspect. They can't just abort. So Muhammad and Shawky hatch a plan. They will tour every sheikh in the district and the neighboring areas, searching for just one who will give them a fatwa, religious ruling, permitting the abortion. At work, Shahrukh is spiraling. She spends her time watching videos of similar cases, women pregnant with quintuplets, trying to understand what kind of chaos she is about to enter. When a colleague catches her and asks, "What kind of nonsense are you watching?" Shahrukh snaps. The hormones take over, and she accuses her friend of being selfish. Moments later, realizing she overreacted, she apologizes profusely and slinks back to her desk. Meanwhile, Muhammad is on his mosque tour. He asks every sheikh he can find, even stopping one randomly at a funeral procession in the street. The answer is always the same, a resounding haram. No loopholes, no wiggle room. It is forbidden. Defeated, he returns home with Shawky. Shawky, ever the pragmatist, lays out the bleak options. Option A: you abort them and carry the sin of killing 5 souls. Option B: you bring them into this world, watch them grow up into thieves or beggars because you're broke, and still carry the sin. So, just rip the band-aid off now. Why torture yourself? Shawky dismisses the doctor problem with a wave of his hand. Technology has solved everything. 2 pills, and it's done. Before Muhammad can debate the morality, Shawky's son throws a slipper directly into the center of the TV screen, enraged because no one put on his cartoons. Muhammad watches the chaos and thinks, if 1 kid does this, what will 5 do? The decision is made. At the same time, Abu Raya visits his daughter. Seeing Shahrukh's gloomy face, he assumes it was a false alarm. He tries to comfort her, saying God will bless her next time. When she reveals she is pregnant with 5, his mood flips instantly. He is ecstatic. His dream of having many grandchildren is finally coming true, albeit all at once. He promises to support her financially and emotionally, telling her not to worry about a thing. On his way home from work, Muhammad sees a woman begging on the street. She pleads, "Help me, sir, for the sake of God. I have 5 children, and their father died from working himself to death trying to feed them." Muhammad hallucinates Shahrukh's face on the beggar. It's a sign. He rushes back to Shawky and demands, "Tell me where to get those pills." They go to a pharmacy. Shawky, lacking any subtlety, shouts his request for the pills. The pharmacist looks at the 2 men suspiciously. Who exactly are these for? This requires a prescription. He kicks them out. Outside, a shady-looking guy follows them. "I have a contact who distributes that stuff," he whispers. "But you have to grease my palm first." Muhammad hands over a 50-pound note and gets the number. Muhammad calls the dealer. The price is a shock, £2,000. He haggles like his life depends on it, and the woman on the other end graciously lowers it to 1,700 pounds as a new customer discount. She insists on delivering the pills to his workplace for complete secrecy, because the police are cracking down. Back home, Mohammed sits on the balcony with a cup of tea, crunching the numbers. Rent plus household expenses plus 5 kids equals bankruptcy. He realizes his only options are the forbidden abortion or becoming a drug dealer to pay the bills. The next day at the branch, Mohammed is a nervous wreck, terrified of being exposed during the drug deal. Shawky reassures him via text that the dealer promised absolute discretion. Suddenly, a guy walks in, tosses a packet of tissues onto Mohammed's desk, and whispers, "The pills are inside, bro." Mohammed snatches them and shoves them into his pocket, heart pounding. That evening, Mohammed makes fresh orange juice. He crushes the pills and mixes them in. His conscience pricks him, but he suppresses it. He hands the glass to Shahrouk. She is touched by his romantic gesture and concern for her health. As she sips, she starts describing a beautiful dream she had. Everything was white, and she was playing happily with her 5 children. Guilt slams into Mohammed like a truck. "I'm going to the bathroom," he stammers, fleeing the room. In the bathroom, he looks in the mirror. "What are you doing, Mohammed? These are your children." He decides he can't go through with it. He rushes out to grab the glass from her, but he walks into a bigger disaster. Abu Raya is sitting comfortably in the living room, finishing the last sip of the spiked orange juice. Mohammed retreats to the bathroom, panic setting in. He calls the pill dealer, hoping for a miracle. What happens if a man takes them? She tells him the pills are strictly forbidden for anyone over 40 or anyone with a heart condition. Abu Raya is both. And obviously, she adds, he isn't a woman, so that's not great either. Mohammed races to Shawky to ask a pharmacist friend. The verdict is grim. Get him to a hospital immediately for a stomach pump. A man his age won't survive that dose. Mohammed walks back into the living room, legs trembling. He tries to sound casual. "Hajj, how about we go to the hospital just to check on you? You might be tired." Before he can finish the sentence, Abu Raya clutches his chest, gasping for air. The pills are kicking in. They rush Abu Raya to the hospital. The doctors are baffled. They're treating him for a standard stomach ache with painkillers and IV fluids, but nothing is working because they don't know what he actually ingested. Mohammed realizes he has no choice. He pulls the doctor aside and confesses the humiliating truth. He, accidentally took abortion pills. The doctor stares at him in disbelief, then rushes Abu Raya into emergency surgery to pump his stomach. Meanwhile, Mohammed has to handle Shahrouk. He concocts a lie on the spot. "Listen, your dad, well, it looks like he took some performance enhancers. Maybe he wanted to hit the gym." Or, he warns her strictly not to bring it up or embarrass the old man. Shahrouk is mortified, but buys it. Mohammed feels guilty, but not guilty enough to miss an opportunity. While waiting in the hallway, he spots the famous screenwriter, Tarek El-Maidani. Mohammed immediately switches from worried son-in-law to fanboy. He stalks the man into the bathroom, cornering him while he's washing his hands. He forces a selfie and pitches his script for 30 minutes until Tarek, desperate to escape, gives him a fake number and flees. Abu Raya finally wakes up. He is groggy and suspicious. He asks Shahrouk, "How did your husband know I was going to get sick before I even felt the pain? Is he a wizard or something?" Shahrouk shushes him, assuming the enhancers are making him paranoid. Back home, reality hits hard. Mohammed sits with his notebook, recalculating the budget. He optimistically estimates 18,000 pounds a month. Shahrouk laughs in his face. She breaks it down. Milk alone is 8,000. Diapers, clothes, meds. We need 30,000 minimum, and that's me being generous. Mohammed realizes his salary won't even cover the snacks. He starts working double shifts driving Shawky's taxi. Shahrouk, despite being heavily pregnant, takes on freelance work from home. They are grinding just to survive the impending doom. 7 months pass. Shahrouk has gained so much weight, she looks like she's smuggling a watermelon truck. She is terrified of the delivery. Mohammed tries to reassure her, then heads out to drive Shawky's mother to her dialysis appointment. On the way, the landlord's son intercepts him, trying to raise the rent. Mohammed shuts him down cold. "I have a 2-year contract. Bang your head against the wall." He leaves the guy fuming. At the hospital, while Shawky's mom gets treatment, a shady nurse pulls Mohammed aside. She whispers, "Since the old lady is sick anyway, how about we find a donor for a kidney? There's good money in it." Mohammed realizes she's mistaking him for a desperate relative willing to sell organs. He checks his empty pockets, sighs, and declines. He returns home to find Shahrouk standing in front of the oven. She had a craving for bechamel pasta and made a huge tray, but before she can take a single bite, her water breaks. Mohammed calls Shawky, and they rush her to the hospital. Before she is wheeled into the operating room, Shahrouk grabs Mohammed's collar. "If I die, promise me you won't get married again." Mohammed looks at her incredulously. "With the army of kids, you're leaving me? Who on earth would agree to marry me?" Abu Raya arrives, and with nothing to do, he starts picking a fight with Mohammed as usual. Then the babies start coming. The nurse brings out baby number 1. Shawky whispers to Mohammed, "Call the Aden in his ear quickly. You have 4 more to go." Baby number 2 comes. Baby number 3. Baby number 4. Baby number 5. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. It's over. But wait, the nurse comes back. Baby number 6. Then baby number 7. Mohammed goes into shock. It turns out 2 babies were hiding behind their siblings during the ultrasound. It wasn't 5, it's 7. 7 children. Mohammed tries to process the fact that he is now a father to a small village. He enters the recovery room to check on Shirok. She is still high on anesthesia and hallucinating wildly. She starts sharing very personal, very embarrassing details about their marriage loudly. The nurse looks at Mohammed with pure disgust, as if asking, "You actually did that?" The hospital director arrives, beaming. He shakes Mohammed's hand enthusiastically. "Congratulations. Your wife has put our hospital in the Guinness World Records. 7 babies, and the mother is healthy. It's a miracle." As a gesture of generosity, he gifts them 2 rooms to house the babies and 7 helium balloons. Shawky tries to convince Mohammed to go home and sleep, promising to take the night shift. But Mohammed refuses, driven by a sudden surge of responsibility and fear that Sharuk might wake up and need something. The next morning, the bill arrives, £45,000. Mohammed's eyes nearly pop out of his head. He decides to go to the director to beg for a discount, but the accountant stops him. "Don't bother. The director actually personally added the cost of the balloons to your bill. £730. Pink helium is more expensive than blue, apparently." Mohammed swallows his pride, shuts his mouth, and pays the bill. He is now broke, exhausted, and the father of 7. Shirauk takes an Uber home with her father because the sheer volume of babies has completely filled Shawky's car. On the ride, Shirauk's father tries to comfort her. He reminisces, "You know, right after your mother gave birth to you, she cried so much just to see you." Shirauk stares at him blankly and reminds him, "Dad, Mom died giving birth to me." The attempt at comfort fails spectacularly. Meanwhile, in the other car, Mohammed is still complaining to Shawky about the hospital bill, specifically outraged that a cup of tea cost him £70. Suddenly, they are stopped at a police checkpoint. The officer looks inside the car, sees a mountain of infants, and immediately suspects a kidnapping ring. He hauls them to the station. Mohammed pleads, "Officer, I swear to God they are mine. Who in their right mind would drive around with this many babies unless they were stuck with them?" The officer isn't convinced and demands proof of this absurdity. Sharuk's father rushes to the station with the hospital notification. The officer apologizes but tells them they can't take the kids home until birth certificates are issued. Mohammed heads to the civil registry. The clerk tells him the father must register the children. Mohammed sighs. "I am the father of all of them." The clerks gather around, marveling at him like he's a biological anomaly, asking intrusive questions about how he pulled this off. Then the real problem hits. Mohammed has completely forgotten the names Sharuk wanted. He panics and holds an emergency council with the clerks to pick names. They settle on Aizal, Asil, and Habiba for the girls. As for the boys, since there's a surplus, he goes for rhyming names, Labib and Najib, followed by Ibrahim and Rashad. He returns home. Sharuk reviews the birth certificates and realizes he didn't get a single name right. Mohammed decides not to mention it. She can't handle another shock right now. At this point, Abu Raya decides he's had enough. He realizes he doesn't actually like babies this small. He tells them, "I'll come play with them when they're 4 or 5, and leaves to go watch his soap operas. Mohammed turns to Sharuk. "Wasn't this the man who was dying for grandkids? He sold us out at the first speed bump." He tries to pivot. "It's okay. My sister Sahar will help." Before he can finish the sentence, Sahar's husband calls, and she flees the scene too. That night, Mohammed and Sharuk sleep on the floor. The 7 babies have colonized the entire bed. As they stare at the ceiling, they drift off, wondering how on earth they will fit in this apartment when the kids grow up. Just as they fall asleep, the front door unlocks. The landlord's son walks in, accompanied by 2 thugs. He doesn't even knock. He has a key. Mohammed wakes up to find 3 men in his living room. They are surprisingly polite, whispering so they don't wake the madame. The landlord's son gives an ultimatum. Sign this new contract with the rent raised to £10,000 and hand over the old contract to be destroyed, or my friends here will throw your furniture in the street right now. With no leverage and 7 hostages in the bedroom, Mohammed signs. The next day, Sharuk sees the new contract and has a nervous breakdown. She suggests Mohammed travel abroad to work, arguing it's the only way to cover the costs. Mohammed takes offense, interpreting it as her wanting to get rid of him. "You want me to just leave you alone with them? Is it that easy?" Mohammed goes to work and begs his manager for a salary advance. The manager laughs him out of the office. "Advance? You've been on leave for a week and haven't hit a target in 6 months. Get out." Desperate, Mohammed asks Shawky if he can rent his taxi for the day. Shawky apologizes. He has installments to pay and needs the car himself to work. Mohammed tries a restaurant asking for a delivery job, but they don't provide bikes. He hits a wall everywhere. Back at the apartment, Sharuk's friend visits. She brings a cash gift from the company colleagues but delivers the final blow. The manager fired Sharuk when he heard about the 7 kids. He's already hired her replacement. Mohammed comes home to this disaster. The stress breaks him. He restarts the supermarket fight, blaming Sharuk all over again. "You're the one who got us into this. You just had to get pregnant." In the middle of the screaming match, Abu Raya pops in with zero awareness. "Just letting you know, the Cebu, Baby shower celebration is next Friday. We need to invite people. Mohammed looks at him, looks at Sharuk, and walks out without a word. He goes to a shop and sells his own mobile phone just to buy food for the babies to survive the week. He heads to the pharmacy to buy formula. The pharmacist, Fairs, sees him buying 2 expensive cans for 400 pounds. Fairs takes pity on him. Listen, if they drink this much milk, stop buying the premium stuff. Get the subsidized milk. It's 5 pounds a can. Mohammed looks at Fairs like he's an angel sent from heaven. He kisses the man's head for saving his life. That night, Mohammed chatters excitedly to Sharuk, convinced that solving the milk crisis will fix their entire life. He calculates they will save around 7,000 pounds. He waits for her to share in his joy, only to realize she fell asleep mid-sentence, exhausted, while feeding one of the babies. The next morning, they wake up at dawn. They execute a military-style operation, drop the kids off at his sister's house, then head to the supply administration to secure the subsidized milk. They stand in the street for an hour, recruiting random neighbors to help hold the babies until they finally flag down a microbus that can fit the whole circus. When they arrive at the administration, they wait in a line that seems endless. Finally reaching the counter, the clerk drops a bomb. You need a card first. This isn't a charity buffet for anyone walking by. They trudge to the social affairs office to get the card, but there is a glitch in the matrix. The law states mothers of twins get milk for 1 baby, mothers of triplets get milk for 2, but septuplets? The law doesn't even have a paragraph for that. The system crashes. The clerk, not paid enough to deal with anomalies, passes the buck and sends them to the director. The director, a man of rules, tries to be generous. He offers to classify them as triplets. If I give you more than that, he explains, you'll drain the entire district's milk supply and I'll be investigated for corruption. Mohammed is about to sign the papers to accept the triplet deal when another issue arises. The babies are only a week old. They aren't in the system yet. Come back in a month, the director says, waving them off. They return home, defeated, contemplating financial ruin. Sharuk, driven by maternal instinct, gets up to do a head count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She counts again. 6. 1 is missing. They left a baby in the microbus. Mohammed springs into action, panic overriding exhaustion. He throws his clothes on, grabs Abu Raya, and sprints to the microbus station to find the driver. Meanwhile, we see the lost baby. He is still in the microbus, sitting quietly next to an elderly woman who fell asleep during the ride and forgot to hand him over. When they arrive at her stop, she tries to leave the baby with the driver, explaining she has a urology appointment. The driver, a man of 0 patience, kicks her out, forcing her to take the baby with her. At the station, Mohammed finds chaos. Drivers fighting each other. He tries to ask around, but the station master informs him that the driver he described doesn't even belong to this station. Desperate, Mohammed drags Abu Raya to the police station to file a report. As luck would have it, they get the same officer from the checkpoint incident. The officer listens, then glares at Mohammed. If this is true, I'm filing a child neglect case against you. Children aren't toys to be lost. Back at home, Sharuk is crying with her friend. The friend suggests posting on Facebook groups, hoping the power of social media will find the lost child. Mohammed and Abu Raya return to the spot where they originally hailed the bus. They start stopping every microbus that passes. After checking about 20 vehicles, they finally find the driver. The driver remembers, oh yeah, an old lady swore on her life she had to take him. She was wearing a black abaya, black scarf with a white streak of hair showing, and said she was going to a urologist. He drops them off at the location where she exited. At that moment, Sharuk gets a lead. Someone messaged saying a lost baby was handed over to Al Haram Hospital. She calls Mohammed. He tells her to go check the hospital while he searches the clinics to cover more ground. Sharuk rushes to the hospital, climbing 5 flights of stairs because the elevator is broken. She sees the baby. Without hesitation, she confirms, yes, that's my son. She signs the papers and takes him. Meanwhile, Mohammed is scouring the urology clinics in the area. Miraculously, he finds the clinic. There, in the waiting room, is the old lady, asleep in her chair, holding his son. Mohammed is overcome with joy. He gently takes the baby, thanking the sleeping woman profusely. He walks out of the clinic, beaming. Sharuk calls him. He answers, ready to share the good news. Mohammed, she cries happily. I found our son. I have him. Mohammed freezes, looking at the baby in his arms. Wait, if you have him, then who is this? Mohammed returns home, and the criticism session begins. He grills Sharuk. How did you mix up your own son? Even if they all look alike, didn't you notice his clothes? Abu Raya, always the voice of chaos, chimes in. Look, it's a blessing from God. Just raise him with the other 7. What's one more? Mohammed is not having it. He rushes back to the police station. The officer sees him and his face drops. If you come in here one more time, I'm arresting you. I'm not kidding. Get out. Mohammed realizes he's out of options with the law. He tries the hospital where they picked up the extra baby, but the officer there refuses to take the child back because Sharuk already signed the papers claiming him. Desperate, Mohammed tries to play the sympathy card. Come on, officer, don't you want to adopt a kid? The officer just stares. Defeated, Mohammed drives to a mosque, intending to leave the baby on the steps. But as he walks away, his conscience screams at him. He turns back, picks up the baby, and returns home. He tells Sharuk, your dad was right. 7 or 8, who's counting? For the first time, Shahrukh sees a glimmer of fatherly warmth in her husband. She beams at him, telling him this baby might be their good luck charm. That night, Mohammed is stressed. He doesn't even have money for a metro ticket to work. Shahrukh saves the day again. She pulls out the envelope of cash her colleagues gave her and hands him 200 pounds, keeping the rest for baby food. Mohammed is so overjoyed by the 200 pounds that he jokes, "When I get rich, I'm going to take a second wife." You know that's what all rich men do. They both laugh, finally sharing a moment of relief amidst the chaos. At work, the relief vanishes. Mohammed gets stuck with a nightmare customer for 2 hours. Her internet is down, and she refuses to accept that it's a landline issue. She escalates, screaming and insulting him. Mohammed, already at his breaking point, snaps back. His manager rushes over, glaring daggers at him because the customer is always right. Meanwhile, Abu Raya brings Shahrukh a client, Uncle Rabi, the fruit seller on the corner. He needs a new sign design. Shahrukh asks for his vision. Rabi says, "Okay, I want a red sign that says Rabi's Fruits. Half of it should be my face, and the other half should be my son Syed popping out of a watermelon." Shahrukh stares at him, processing the aesthetic horror. She pulls her father aside and gently asks him to stop bringing her work. Back at the office, Mohammed's manager drags him into his office and tears him apart. "Insults don't stick, Mohammed. Just let it go. There are thousands of young guys dying for your job. Don't get cocky." Mohammed leaves feeling broken, swallowing his pride for the sake of the paycheck. Seeing his distress, Shawky tries to cheer him up by sending a customer to buy a line from Mohammed, but Mohammed refuses to take Shawky's commission. They end up playing ping pong with the confused customer, sending him back and forth until the guy gets annoyed and leaves. Mohammed returns home to find Shahrukh ecstatic in the kitchen. She tells him the doctor who delivered the babies called. The famous TV host Hoda El Ayoubi wants to feature them on her show as a rare case. Mohammed is skeptical. Is it worth dragging 8 babies to a studio? But Shahrukh argues it's a golden opportunity to voice their struggles. Maybe someone will help. Maybe they can change the milk law. Mohammed starts to see hope. Abu Raya is living on another planet. He goes out and buys a new suit specifically for his television debut. That evening, Mohammed tries to write on the balcony. Shahrukh interrupts. Panicked. 2 of the babies are sick. There's a pediatrician down the street, so they call him over. The doctor arrives, sees the army of infants, and asks, "Which one is sick?" Shahrukh drops the bomb. "We, mixed them up. We don't remember." Mohammed and Shahrukh are about to start fighting, but the doctor intervenes. "It's fine. I'll examine all of them." He prescribes medication and, seeing their situation, refuses to take any payment. They calculate their remaining budget, 1,200 pounds. It won't last the month. Their only hope is the TV show. Mohammed, seeing how exhausted Shahrukh is, offers to watch the kids so she can sleep for 2 hours. He tells her he'll swap shifts with Shawky to work nights. Shahrukh is touched. This is a huge change from the man who never lifted a finger at home. The day of the filming arrives. Abu Raya is more excited than anyone. He pesters the crew about his camera angles and interview questions until the assistant director snaps, "Sir, you're not in the segment. There's no room for you." Abu Raya throws a fit until they agree to squeeze him in on the side just to shut him up. The host, Hoda El Ayoubi, starts her intro. She begins listing the names of the 7 children. When she says Labib, Shahrukh freezes. "Labib!" Shahrukh screams. "Who named my son Labib?" She realizes Mohammed named them without telling her. She threatens to walk off the show. "He promised me one thing and did another. How can I trust him?" The production team swarms her, calming her down by promising the names can be changed later. She finally agrees to continue. Filming resumes. Mohammed is fired up, ready to expose the system's failures. But the host keeps cutting him off. "Let's take it one question at a time," she says with a fake smile. She asks about the challenges they face. Mohammed unleashes a flood of complaints. The shock of the news. The impossibility of feeding 8 mouths. The need for 35,000 pounds a month just for basics. Suddenly, Hoda stops the filming, looking at him with disgust. "Cut. What is this depressing talk? This is an entertainment show. We want funny stories. Tell us about fighting over whose turn it is to change diapers. Make the audience laugh." Mohammed feels like a bucket of ice water has been dumped on his head. He realizes that no one actually cares about their struggle or the massive responsibility weighing them down. He loses his temper, telling the host, Hoda, that he only came here hoping someone would listen and help, but she has shattered that dream in an instant. Hoda doesn't care about his outburst. She smooths things over with a fake smile, promising him, "Let's just get through this segment, and after we wrap, I'll listen to all your problems and help you however you want." Although Mohammed knows deep down she is just silencing him, he clings to the lie because it is his last straw. They resume filming and force themselves to act out the ridiculous charade. Mohammed repeats the answers she fed him, saying that having octuplets is a great blessing that no one appreciates, even though every line on his face screams misery and brokenness. At the end of the episode, the production team hands them a gift box. Mohammed and Shahrukh light up, thinking it might contain money. They open it only to find a set of towels printed with Hoda El Ayoubi's face. Mohammed swallows his disappointment and follows Hoda backstage to remind her of her promise, hoping she might connect him with a producer for his writing. But Hoda crushes his dignity for the second time. With utter rudeness, she calls over the assistant director and says, "Deal with him. He's giving me a headache and I have an important appointment." Mohammed tries to hold himself together, Having run out of options, they return home at their breaking point. There is no money left to finish the month. Even when his salary comes, it will all go to the new rent. Sharauk is forced to bring up the topic of him traveling abroad for work again. She argues there is no other solution. Otherwise, they won't even find food. Mohammed gets angry, telling her, "If you have a job opportunity, I'm ready to go, since you seem so eager to get rid of me." The next day, Mohammed talks to Shawky, hoping his friend will tell him, "No, don't go. You can't handle being away." Instead, Shawky encourages him enthusiastically. He insists that staying here means achieving nothing. He tells Mohammed to wake up from his delusions about writing because art doesn't buy milk. Mohammed tries to explain that his real problem is his fear of loneliness. He admits that even though he likes spending time alone, he needs to know Sharauk is there. He fears that if he gets too lonely, he might cheat or go crazy. Shawky looks at him blankly, thinking Mohammed is just reciting bad poetry, and dismisses his feelings. Later, Mohammed tells Sharauk he agrees to travel, but asks where they will get the money for the visa and ticket. Sharauk suggests borrowing from her father, Abu Raya. She tells him to swallow his pride and ignore his father's inevitable bad attitude because they have no choice. Abu Raya arrives. He notices the fridge is empty and immediately starts his favorite lecture about how Mohammed is a failure who can't provide. For the first time, Sharauk snaps. She screams at him, telling him he has no clue about the pressure they are under with 8 children. She demands he lend them money. Abu Raya goes silent. He finally speaks with brutal honesty, confessing that he acts arrogant to hide his shame. He reveals that his financial situation is actually terrible. He lives on a pension of £3,500. He admits he comes to eat at their house not because he's bored, but because he runs out of money for food. He even spent his end-of-service bonus on her wedding furniture. Sharauk is shocked. She never realized her father was struggling this much. He apologizes to her and pulls out the only money he has, £250, and gives it to her to help them survive until he gets his pension. After they finish crying together, he wipes his eyes and says, "Now give me £50 back so I can buy breakfast. I'm starving." Mohammed goes to the bank to apply for a loan to cover his travel expenses, but he is rejected because he has no collateral. He returns home and asks Sharauk about the dishwasher. Is it essential? She realizes what he means. They decide to sell it. Things escalate quickly. They end up selling the dishwasher, the fridge, the appliances, and almost all the furniture. They are left living on the bare floor tiles, but they finally scrape together enough money for the paperwork and the ticket. 2 days before his flight, Sharauk decides to treat Mohammed. She buys 2 tickets to a special screening of a new movie produced by El Maidani, the producer Mohammed tried to pitch to in the hospital. Mohammed is touched, telling her he couldn't have done any of this without her. They arrive at the cinema. The event is star-studded, and the lead actor, Mohammed Farag, is there. The movie begins. Scene 1 plays. Mohammed leans over to Sharauk, whispering, "I wrote a scene exactly like this." Scene 2 plays. Scene 3. Mohammed realizes with horror that the respected producer didn't just ignore him. He copied and pasted Mohammed's script entirely. Mohammed stands up in the middle of the theater and starts screaming, causing a massive scene. "I swear to God, this is my movie. This is my script. I sent it to him on WhatsApp." Security guards swarm around him to drag him out. Mohammed, fueled by injustice, fights back. He loses control and strikes the producer on the head with a heavy object. The guard collapses to the ground, motionless. The producer drags Mohammed to the police station, insisting on pressing charges for assault because the producer's head was split open. It's a clear power move to pressure Mohammed into dropping his plagiarism claim. Outside the office, the lawyer tries to calm Sharauk down, suggesting a settlement might be possible. But Sharauk's mind is elsewhere. Can he still travel? His flight is tomorrow morning. The lawyer looks at her like she's crazy. Travel? He's under investigation for assault. No way. Sharauk loses it. She lashes out at Mohammed, screaming that they sold all their furniture for this one chance, and he ruined it. Mohammed is hurt. Is the trip all you care about? Put yourself in my shoes. They stole my movie. Sharauk explodes. "I am sick of your dreams and ambitions. You are selfish. You are a failure as a father, a failure as a husband, and a failure at work." Mohammed is stunned. "If I'm a failure," he retorts quietly, "it's because I married you." That breaks her. Sharauk coldly tells him she will fix her mistake by leaving him for good. "You figure out how to feed the 8 kids who are starving," she says, and walks away. Mohammed wanders the streets all night, lost and desperate. His feet lead him back to the hospital where Shawky's mom gets dialysis. He finds the shady nurse who hinted at organ selling before. "Take me to him," he tells her. "I want to donate." The next day, Mohammed meets Abdel Monaim, the broker, in a park. Abdel Monaim explains the deal: 2 weeks for tests to check kidney function, then surgery. "You'll live a normal life," he lies smoothly, "and you walk away with £200,000. That evening, Mohammed goes to Abu Raya's house to plead his case. He begs his father-in-law to let him see Sharauk, promising he has found a great job that pays incredible money and he will fix everything. Abu Raya asks the killer question: "Do you have money to leave for them right now?" Mohammed looks down in shame. "When you have money to spend on them, come take your wife and kids," Abu Raya says, closing the door. Inside, Sharauk cries to her father, She never imagined her life would collapse like this. Meanwhile, Mohammed finds a buyer for his kidney. The buyer haggles, complaining Mohammed is too skinny, but they settle on 270,000 pounds. Sharuk is sinking into depression. She hasn't brushed her hair in 10 days. Her friend visits and offers to watch the kids so Sharuk can take an hour for herself. Mohammed goes for the medical tests. Then comes the catch. Abdel Monaim makes him sign promissory notes worth 150,000 pounds to guarantee the buyer's rights in case Mohammed backs out. Trapped, Mohammed signs. He goes to Shawky and confesses everything. Shawky is furious and refuses to be part of this madness, but Mohammed breaks down, crying that he might die or be incapacitated and he needs someone he trusts to ensure the money gets to his kids. Shawky, seeing his friend's desperation, agrees reluctantly. At the hospital, Mohammed pours his heart out to Shawky. If I die, tell them I wasn't selfish. I did it for them. He sends Shawky away to rest. Meanwhile, the Minister of Social Solidarity happens to watch a rerun of their TV interview. He notices the forced smiles and realizes something is wrong. He orders his assistant to find this family and help them. The assistant tries calling all night, but no one answers. The next morning, right before surgery, Mohammed calls Sharuk. I need you with me, he whispers. Sharuk, angry that he's been missing for 10 days while they starve, hangs up on him. Mohammed throws his phone away and enters the operating room. The minister's assistant tells the minister he can't reach the couple. He suggests calling the man in the shiny suit who was with them, Abu Raya. Abu Raya answers immediately. He wakes Sharuk up. The minister wants to see you at 1:30 p.m. Don't be late. Sharuk is ecstatic. She tries calling Mohammed, but a nurse answers. He can't talk, he's in the operating room. Sharuk asks why, but the nurse realizes she's clueless and hangs up. Abu Raya, helpful as always, says, a woman answered, he probably married someone else. Sharuk calls Shawky. Shawky caves and tells her everything. When he hears about the minister, he realizes Mohammed is about to make a huge mistake for nothing. He rushes to the hospital. Shawky steals a nurse's uniform, not realizing it's a dress, and bursts into the operating room. Stop, he yells. No surgery. Get up, Mohammed. You have AIDS. The doctors freeze. Mohammed is confused. Shawky drags him out and explains the minister wants to see them. Sharuk is waiting outside. They flee the hospital before Abdel Monaim can catch them. Outside, Sharuk hugs Mohammed, crying. She blames herself for pushing him to this point. Abu Raya even apologizes for calling him a failure. Mohammed forgives them all. They have a second chance. Suddenly, they remember the meeting with the minister. They have less than an hour to get there. There is just one massive problem. Mohammed is still wearing a hospital gown. He is practically naked. Mohammed turns to Shawky and begs him for his pants. Shawky resists, but eventually caves to the pressure. Then Abu Raya steps up, sacrificing his stylish floral shirt for the cause. Mohammed is now dressed in ill-fitting pants and a loud flower print shirt, looking absolutely ridiculous, but at least he is decent. They speed off, suddenly crash. They rear-end the car in front of them. The driver jumps out, furious, screaming that no one leaves until he gets 20,000 pounds for damages. But luck is finally on their side. The driver freezes, squinting at Abu Raya. Mr. Abu Raya, my geography teacher? Out of respect for his old teacher, the driver lets them go without paying a dime. They arrive at the ministry building 30 minutes early. They celebrate their punctuality, high-fiving each other. But the universe isn't done with them yet. They walk up to the gate only to be told the ministry moved to the new administrative capital months ago. They are at the wrong building, miles away from where they need to be. And they immediately start screaming at each other, playing the blame game. Abu Raya shuts them up, calling the assistant to beg for a 30-minute delay. The assistant agrees. They race toward the new capital. 10 minutes away from the destination, the car breaks down. Without a second thought, they abandon the vehicle and sprint the rest of the way on foot. They arrive late, sweaty, panting, and looking like maniacs. Miraculously, they are let in. The minister's flight was canceled, so he is still in his office. The minister welcomes them. He tells them he doesn't want the polished TV answers. He wants the raw truth. He proposes a deal. Mohammed and Sharuk will become the spokespeople for a national family planning campaign. Their job is to tell people how hard it is so others don't make the same mistake. In exchange, the ministry will provide free milk and diapers for the 7 biological children. As for the 8th child, the one they found, the ministry will place him in a high-quality care home to ensure he is looked after, relieving them of the extra burden. It's a perfect solution. Mohammed and Sharuk feel like God has finally answered their prayers. Then the phone rings on the minister's desk. He answers. His face goes pale. He clutches his chest, looking like he's about to have a stroke. There has been a sudden cabinet reshuffle. He has just been fired. Mohammed, Sharuk, and the gang leave the office. They look at each other and burst into hysterical laughter. The absurdity of their luck is just too much to handle. They walk away, broke but together. The twist. Meanwhile, back at the TV studio, the famous artist Mickey is preparing for a segment. He spots a stack of papers left behind on a table. It's the script Mohammed left with the assistant director earlier. Mickey picks it up and starts reading. A look of genuine impress spreads across his face. He turns the page, hooked. The series ends with a glimmer of hope. Mohammed's luck might be terrible, but his story isn't over yet. The end.